So we are Kiviak Instruments. Maybe you guys have never heard about us. I would not be surprised because Wofi is our first product actually. We've been working on this guy here for about 3 years. It's about to be launched like in a few weeks. So what you're looking at actually is a tribute to all keyboard samplers from the 80s, such as Casio SK1 and small toy keyboards like this. But it's kind of a reinterpretation of those keyboards with slight changes, especially on the workflow, but still with the same core ideas, especially on the form factor. We wanted to keep something that was quite easy to take away with you. So it's battery powered, as you can see. It's not disposable battery. There is a lithium battery inside. So you don't need to worry about buying disposable batteries. You also have a microphone to directly record your samples on the go. You also have a speakers to monitor what you're doing. So you could play anywhere you want, whether it's your couch or in the park. And last but not least, it has a more extensive connectivity than the old keyboards of the 80s. So you have everything you would expect to match any setup. So whether it's in studio, in a live performance, with Eurorack as well, or with old drum machines, you have everything you would need.
For recording, you're using the internal microphone, or can you use a
You
mic?
could use both. As you can see, there is a little switch here, a toggle switch, and you can choose if you want to use the internal microphone or the line-in. For any of them, you can adjust the gain before you record, so you're sure you're not going to be clipping.
Yeah.
Or let's say you're recording a guitar, for instance, an electric guitar, you can push the gain, or even with a dynamic microphone, you can push the gain to have a good level of audio. It's an interface that is very familiar for most synthesizer users because it's basically an analog interface, analog synthesizer interface. So you're going to find an envelope to sculpt your sound, a filter, and an LFO, like kind of the big three things. But instead of having an oscillator at the very beginning, you're going to have a player. The player is the sample player. So once you've recorded the sample, or once you've loaded a sample that you have internally in the machine, you're going to be able to choose different emulations or our own creation too of machines and models that are going to change the tone of the sound you're playing back. On this part,
it's mimicking what the DA and 80, the converters, the sampling rate.
So it's going to be basically the algorithm of playback. So it can be linear, sample and hold, and so on. It's going to be also like the resolution. It's going to be as well the sample rate, all of the things. And there are also artifacts that we added, like glitches and so on. There is even a dedicated rotary knob here for that. And what else? You can choose the way you play back your sample for any machine. So you can play it in loop to generate like an infinite loop, just once, in reverse or in boomerang, back and forth. You can adjust the pitch, and you also a little rotary knob here for the stretch. So basically, if you go anti-clockwise, it's gonna slow down the sample while keeping the same pitch. And if you go in the opposite direction, it's gonna do the opposite. So it's gonna speed it up, but without altering the pitch as well. After an envelope, so quite classic. Cut off a filter, a low-pass filter with two slopes. Here we have the texturer. It's a granulizer effect, so between granular sounds and shimmer effects. So it's going to bring airy sounds to what you're playing. You can have it in stereo or mono. Actually, you can also route external audio through the texturer directly.
Okay, so anything can go through it. You just use it as an effect at that point.
Exactly. And yes, we made a VST of this guy here and an audio unit as well. So it will be available at the same time as the launch of Wofi.
And when is that? When are you playing?
So I don't have the exact date, but just to give you a bit more context, we had a bit of delay over this summer. The units of the first batch were shipped last week, so we expect them in our office next week. And after that, we're going to inspect all the machines to be sure that everything is all right. And after that, we're going to start shipping first to our backers and then to our partners. You also have a sequencer here, so quite easy, 16 steps, notes or parameters. It has a few tricks in its sleeves. You have actually a mod button here that's going to give you access to the steps. to something called revisions, to something called cue points, and something called compose. Compose is basically a generator of sequences, and revisions and cue points I'm going to go back a bit later when I'm going to demoing the unit. And that's pretty much it for the hardware. The other important part I would say with this machine is it's in name, like it's WOFI, it stands for Wi-Fi and Lo-Fi. So the Lo-Fi part, I think you got it. It's mainly because of the sampling part. And the Wi-Fi part is because Kiviak Instruments is it's a daughter company of another company called Kiviak Technology, and we are experts in IT and cloud computing. So we created a dedicated platform for music that is totally free. As long as you own a WOFI, you have access to the platform, no subscription, nothing. And on that platform, you can store unlimited patches for your WOFI.
Okay.
Meaning, so you can do backup because there is a Wi-Fi chipset inside. So let's say you're in your couch, you have a Wi-Fi connection, a decent Wi-Fi connection in your living room. You can directly send stuff over the air to your My WOFI account.
Okay.
And you can also go and pull content.
Okay.
You have different level of privacy. It can be just for you. It can be for a small group of friends, or you can share it publicly or get stuff that are public. And what else? On this platform as well, you can edit samples actually in bundles. So you can upload several samples at the same time and quickly edit them. It can be very more straightforward, I would say, as a workflow, because if you have a lot of samples that you're using on other machines, you might want to throw them, all of them at the same time in the machine. So that's where you can really edit, normalize them, all of these things directly on a bigger interface and push them directly from your computer to the machine.
Okay.
Same goes for the firmware updates. You can do them over the air as well. And last but not least, we know that some people tend to maybe not like all this connectivity in musical instruments, and we totally respect that. So we didn't want to make it like a go that way or leave, let's say. So we also have a USB input-output here. Okay. You can plug the machine to your computer, and we have a dedicated standalone application on Linux, Mac, and Windows to do all the sample management the same way you would do it online on our platform.
Cool.
So that's basically it. Maybe I can show you quickly the workflow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you first how to sample something. So just going to get, let's say, this lollipop. Here we are on a default patch. So you will see the machine will come with like many patches when you will get it. So you don't have to worry. It will have sounds already inside. Sounds will consist of samples. Samples can be used in different patches and so on. So don't worry, you will have plenty of things to play with. This is the default one. From that one, I'm going to go and record with the microphone. So you see here, I'm on the microphone position. I'm going to first press record. It's tilting, meaning that I can monitor the level of what I'm going to record. So here I'm going to record a lollipop because I love the sound of lollipops. It's going to create a lot of nice sounds. And I can adjust again. So you see if I go too high, like I'm going to have a lot of clipping. So I'm going to keep it quite low. I'm going to press it again, and when I release it, it's going to be still. And as soon as it's still, it's recording, and I need to press once again to stop the recording. So let's go. Okay, let's listen. So we have a beautiful sound now. So maybe I can show you quickly the difference with all the different model of machines. Yeah, as I told you, we created our own model that have very low resolution as well. But that way already, without changing that much things, you can really change the sound a bit drastically. You have the pitch. You have the time stretching, with which you can create really nice metallic sounds, especially with like transients and like long sounds, like it can be very nice. You can add glitches. And yeah, you can play it back different ways. So once, in reverse. Well, here it's noise, so we don't see that much difference. But trust me, it does work. And yeah, after you have the envelopes. So it works like any envelope will work. You can assign it to the amp, to the filter, or to both. You have also the filter. And here the texture. And an LFO. So let me show you quickly. You have also a sequencer that I was talking about. So let's say I'm gonna sequence something. I'm gonna enter notes now. So okay. From that, I can do many stuff like that are quite nice. So first, I can also sequence parameters if I want to. So I could do this. Go in edit. I can also like mute steps on the go, like this. I could also like shorten the sequence. I can also take few steps and change their velocity or change their pitch even. You see the pitch is changing. And that way you can really quickly play with the sequence. Let's say we like what we did. I'm gonna save this patch because I'm quite happy with the sound and everything. So I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna change the name because it's not default. Up. We're gonna call it Jeremy. Okay. Okay, so now I have Jeremy. As you see, there is a little 0 here. So I'm gonna go back to something I talked before, is the revision mode. So you see here, the pad 1 is lit. So that means we are in the first version of our patch lifespan.
Okay.
So we just created it, so there is one version so far. We know that all of us, synth users or even like photograph editors or anything, as soon as you have digital files, you tend to have like the first version, the version 2, the version 2 final, the final 2, the real version of final, and so on. And we tend to, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's it.
We do the same with patches. And here we decided to bring something from the programming world. So it's versioning of patches.
Okay.
So that means, let's say I'm going to modify it. So I'm going to do something a bit different here. So we have this sound. That's the one we made. I'm actually going to change a lot of things. So I'm going to reset a bit everything. And I'm going to go to edit the sample and do something very different. So here we see we are on the first cue point. So it's the first selection of end point and start point and end point, sorry. So you see if I move the start point, it moves. Here I'm going to go on another one and I'm going to change like this. I'm going to zoom a bit. So I'm on a smaller area of the sample. I save it. But if I want, I can go in the other mode called cue points. And there I can switch on the fly the different cue points I made. So
Because these are saved in different revisions. You're just switching between.
yeah, so this is switching between the cue points. And I'm doing this because I'm going to do a new version now of my patch with like something that is a bit more melodic. So something where I could play a keyboard like this. So I'm going to go back to my sequence. I'm going to clear it. And I'm going to record something totally different. So now it's going to be a... So I have something a bit different than what we had before. Let's say I like it. I'm going to save it. And now I'm in version 2 of my patch. So what I can do is I can go back in revision mode and I see it's the second pad that is lit now. But I can go to the oldest version. And that means that on the fly like this, I can just change the version of my patch on the go without any interruption or anything. Another cool thing regarding that works for the version, but I work for sampling too. Let's say I want to sample something different. I'm gonna do it here with this, for instance. I'm gonna record something as it's playing, and it's gonna catch up with what I'm recording. So So I just said Montreal. We don't really listen to that, but you can hear that the sound changed because the sample actually changed. If we go here, it's not the same sample anymore.
Okay. So basically, one patch could have many versions of the sequence.
Exactly.
Many versions
So
of the sound.
you can call back up to 16 patches versions from the pads, but virtually you have unlimited number of versions.
Wow. This is really cool.
Yeah, and it doesn't take that much memory because it's working on versioning concept, so it's not like a copy every time of the file. It's
Just values that changes.
sorry.
Just saving the values.
Yeah, exactly.
That's great. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.